everybody, welcome to Coffee Break Accounting with me, Becky Brooksbank. So today we are going to look at Series 2, Episode 2 of our Simple Systems series, which is about why you should choose accounting software. Now, if you haven't already done so, go and find a cup of tea, cup of coffee of your choice, come back and start the session again. So feel free to click pause, go and find your cup of tea of your choice and come back. Now, the whole point of these sessions is 10-15 minutes of jargon-free accounting to help you and your business develop and grow. And at the moment, as I've said earlier, Series 2 is about simple systems. Now, we're going to carry on today looking at our simple systems and thinking about the question, why should we use accounting software? Now, if you watched last week's series, episode 1, then we looked at simple systems and the 4 S's of record keeping. So it's essential, as we found out last week, to keep records for your business, and it is essential to keep them for different periods of time. So feel free to refer back to episode 1 if you need to refresh your memory on that. But basically, as a business, we have to keep our records, and I have found that having accounting software is 100% the way to go for businesses so that they can make their systems as simple as possible. And that's what we're going to look at today. So did you go away and do your takeaway task for last week? So the takeaway task, I've had no people putting their hands up taking ownership of this. So the takeaway task was to go away and rate your current record keeping system on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being I'm absolutely awful, I have no clue about anything, hate doing admin, and 10 being super keen like me to have everything all in order and as it should be. So hopefully we can help you, whichever part of the spectrum of the scale you are, get up to being a 10. Yep, I'm on top of everything, I'm ready to go. So last week we looked at the 4 S's of record keeping. So the first one was a system. So develop a system and stick to it. Simple as that. Okay. So 2, separate. Please separate your business and your personal expenditure as much as you can. It just makes things so much easier. The 4th one is security. 100% important for your business. So not only security in the terms of making clear who's responsible for what part of your system, but also to think about things like password protection, who has access to those passwords and everything else. And the final one was safe storage. So whether you're a manual system or electronic system, you need to think how you're storing your documents, whether you'll need to back them up, if you've got copies, where your filing is, etc., etc. So over the course of Simple Systems, we're going to have a look at different elements of this. Now, the first one that I wanted to touch on today and starting to help you develop this system is obviously around accounting software. If you get software in place, it takes away a huge amount of the headaches around creating your system, and actually the system becomes focal on your accounting software, and then that leads to a lot of other avenues. So I 100% believe that as soon as you can afford a monthly subscription for a decent piece of accounting software, I would always recommend to business owners that you go out and buy and you use it. Okay, there's no point in spending it if you're not going to use it. So as soon as you can afford that monthly subscription, please do go out there and have a go. There's plenty of them on free trials to start with, a couple of weeks free trial usually, so you can have a go and play around with them. But why? Okay, so I'm sat here saying, yes, I would recommend to my business owners and everything that you need accounting software. But why? Okay, so firstly, significantly reduce the errors. So if you have a manual system or you're using Excel, you will 100% have manual errors. You type things in backwards, transposition errors, you have 1,000,001, if you're a regular user of Excel, 1,000,001 checkboxes. So you need to check that column adds to that column. So you've got checkbox down there, or that row adds to that row, and you've got checkbox down there, particularly if you're using more than one tab or you're starting to filter data and everything else. All of these, the more complex the data input, obviously the higher potential there is for errors. We are only human, errors will happen, and We just need to make sure that we've got fail safes for picking those up. But you are more likely to have errors if you are using a manual system or using something like Excel to do your bookkeeping. The other thing is as well, having an accounting software stops you second guessing. So I can guarantee that when you're sat there doing your manual system and you have to add it up 5 times on your calculator, you're doing that because you're second guessing the data you've put in, because you're not 100% sure that you didn't type it wrong in your calculator. Similarly, if you're putting it into Excel, you will go back and check a number of times and tick it off and file that away and come back and tick it off and file that away, because you're second guessing the information you're putting in. If you're going into an accounting software, those checks are already built in. So it will flag up with big red boxes saying, are you sure this is right? Or this doesn't match to this, which means you don't second guess yourself as much. You just get on and do it. So my first reason for why we need accounting software is because it can significantly reduce your errors. Second reason, speed. Right, so the best example I have of this is raising a sales invoice. So let's think of your sales invoice system. Okay, you sat there at the end of the week, you need Mr. John, our plumber, needs to invoice Mrs. Smith for the bathroom that he's put in this week. So he sat at his computer, he's got his Word template. He logs on to his computer, opens his Word template, then retypes Mrs. Smith's details in there. He then has to change the date. Then he forgets, and then has to go back and realise he's made a typo. Then he has to enter all his information, so Mrs. Smith's bathroom fitting week of the 31st of March 2020, whatever it might be. Then he has to put in an amount in. If he's in Word, then and he's VAT registered, it won't calculate the VAT for him. So he then has to change the VAT amount. And then he has to put in a total gross at the bottom and check that it adds up. Then he saves that as a PDF, then he goes into his email. He then attaches the PDF to the email and sends it to Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith comes back and realises that he's done something different and he has to repeat the process all over again. So that's just one example. Imagine if you're doing that, 10, 15, 20, 30 times a week, however many times you would do regular invoicing. Okay, that can take a significant amount of time. In the accounting software that I use, Xero, I timed it from the minute the second I thought I needed to send an invoice to a client, through logging on, through sending the invoice to email and having it recognised in my accounts. 29 seconds. 29 seconds. So Mr. John Tapp, our plumber that we were talking about a second ago, has probably taken about 5 minutes. If you can reduce all those 5 minutes down to half a minute, that is a huge amount of time saving throughout a month. And on top of that, you can also do, if you have monthly repeating, which I have a lot with my customers, you can set up a monthly repeating invoice for as long as you want it to roll, and it automatically does it for you. So you only set it up once and it does however many months that you want and automatically sends it out to your customers via email every single time. So speed for me is one of the top reasons. The third reason is reduced overall cost. So I've already said that I would recommend the minute you can afford accounting software to go out and do it. It is relatively cheap and cost effective, but obviously I understand there is a cost implication to it. But I can guarantee that 99.9% of people who are ready to make the move over to accounting software will find a cost saving in there, okay? Because you just think about that time. So we were just saying about speed in point 2. That was just an example of invoices. So what about checking through your bank? What about all your supplier invoices and all that type of thing? All these things take time. Now, I'm not saying that by having an accounting software you're going to have to do nothing, because it's all about user input, but it will make the time you spend on it less. Okay, so overall, the time that you're spending, that you could be out there working or doing social media or whatever it is you want to spend that time doing, you could actually have a cost saving because of that. My next one is accurate reporting. So how long would you think it would take for you and your current record keeping system to find out who your top 5 customers are and how much they spent with you over the last year? Would you even know where to start? Okay, so it is quite a common thing to think of different reports that you might need. This is just one example. So I use my customer report relatively often, okay, because I want to see who my customers are and whether they're spending with me. Really important for product-based businesses, not so much for John Tapp the plumber, because likelihood is he's only going to put one bathroom in for somebody over a number of years. He might be able to persuade them to have a kitchen fitting, but it's not significant. But if you've got product or if you've got services that are more regularly repeating, you want to keep an idea of who these customers are. So with your current system, if you haven't got something in place where you can easily extract the data from it, then it's fine doing the data, but what are you going to do then? We'd love to use the data. So that's the next step. Now, if you have accounting software, they have ready built reports that you can access at a click of a button and also filter options in. So the customer report I was talking about is a ready-made report. You just click on it, you select the period you're looking at. You can even put comparatives in for the last 5 years, however long you've got your history in your accounting system, and it will churn up that. And within 5 minutes, you can sit there reviewing the information that you wanted and taking action on it. And you also know, because you've done your books and all these red error messages have been resolved as you've been going through, that this information is accurate. Okay, you're happy with it. It's a good level of information. So accurate reporting, definitely why I think people should have accounting software. And the last one is to ease frustrations with tax filing. So we all know it's not everybody's favourite job, and a lot of people only do their bookkeeping just for their tax filing. If you're VAT registered, you'll know that Making Tax Digital came in this time last year, and people have had to process their VAT returns through accounting software anyway. Approved accounting software, should I say, by HMRC. So for those people that are VAT registered, it's probably something that they're already doing, or if not, then they should be looking to do. This will follow 2 other areas of tax. Obviously, with everything going on with the coronavirus and everything else, I'm sure HMRC have put this slightly further back down their pecking order, but at some point they have mooted that it's likely that corporation tax and also self-employment will go through Making Tax Digital too. So that's going to get more, it will force people onto accounting software anyway. But having accounting software makes it so much easier because, one, you're up to date with your books anyway. You're not leaving it for a whole year and suddenly thinking, oh my God, it's tax return, I need to get all my data up to date. You'll do it as you go along. The second thing is you can direct link to an accountant. So if you have an accountant who does all your tax returns and everything for you, they can have a login, they can see your real-time data, which just makes things so much easier. And also, because everything is online, you can access it from anywhere. So at the moment, everyone is working remotely, which is fine. The great thing with having accounting software, if you've got the online version, very often it's just a case of logging in. Okay, so my 5 reasons of why do we need accounting software: 1, significantly reduce errors; 2, let's increase our speed; 3, reduce overall cost of processing our admin; 4, accurate reporting; and 5, ease frustrations with tax filing. So just to recap today then, I just wanted to give you an introduction into accounting software to get you to think about the benefits of having accounting software. Our simple systems are going to go to start having a look at one option of accounting software, which is the one I affiliate with, which is Xero, Xero, and we will start having a look at that next week. So just wanted you to have a think, okay? Your takeaway task for today is to write a brief overview of your different documents that you store for your business, split into income, expenditure and other. So income is obviously things like your customer receipts. Expenditure is all your receipts that you've had in, and other could be your contracts, your building premises, how you deal with storing lease agreements, anything like that. If you've got employees, employee data. Then have a think where you currently store them all. Okay, so a very simple, brief overview. What are my main documents, bank statements, etc., and where do I currently store them all? And if somebody asks me for them, where would I go and find them? So I want you to start thinking now more in depth about your system. Last week was looking at a scale of 1 to 10, how organised you are. This week is starting focusing you into the different things that you might incorporate into a system. Okay, so next week is episode 3. So feel free to come and join me next week for the new one. If you've missed any of the others, head over to www.charworthassociates.com. On the workshops and events page, you'll find all the links to the previous coffee break accountings at the bottom of the page. And if you do want them delivered directly to your inbox, there's also a sign up button too, so that every week I can send them round to you. So thanks very much for taking part in Coffee Break Accounting this week while we've been looking at accounting software. Look forward to giving you a demonstration next week of some of the simple and easy things that you might be able to do with your accounting software. Don't forget to go away and have a go at your takeaway task, and if anybody wants to share what they've been doing with me, feel free to drop me a line. Take care everybody, see you next week.